What's up, guys? It's your boy Legacy. So this is in response to a comment that was discovered and approved on one of the older Final Fantasy XIV videos that I posted, asking players why they quit playing Final Fantasy XIV. So let's get into the comment, because I had a chance to screenshot it in case the person come back and try to delete it. For their privacy, I went on ahead and blocked out the name and stuff like that. So the comment reads, "For me, it's mostly how the gear system works. I don't care about glamour, mounts, RP, or how my character looks. I just want the best in slot gear and do the hardest content available. A sense of fulfillment and a good reward is the only thing that makes me enjoy video games nowadays." So let me go ahead and say that this right here that I read on screen is the purest form of elitism. Elitism is a mindset. There's nothing wrong with having this mindset. It's when they are toxic, which there's a difference between being toxic and being an elitist, okay? Usually they go hand in hand and they combine and you get the elitist toxic dickhead. But in most cases, people with this mentality typically play with others of the same mentality because they want to do the hardest content in the game and be rewarded for it. This is normal in MMOs, very normal in MMOs, okay? There's nothing wrong with being an elitist. I don't want people shit talking underneath this video about me, oh, you don't like elitists or you don't like hardcore raiders. No. I'm just showing folks that this is the purest form of elitism. It's written right here in your face, and there's nothing wrong with it. I chose to be a casual solo player. This person chooses to do the hardest content in the game because that's their enjoyment, a sense of fulfillment. That's what they enjoy, okay? In most games I've played and that I enjoyed, you have to earn that. They're speaking on best in slot gear. Trust me, I know. I used to play Terra. I tried to get best in slot during that time as a solo player, and then I failed to do so because the community was really trash on Terra, and still is trash on Terra to this very day. Okay, let me get back into this. I thought it was also this way in Final Fantasy XIV. I speed ran to max level and farmed the 520 free gear, farmed the relic weapon. Then it took me approx 1 week to clear my first savage. I got a book and someone told me I need to get 2 more to get my first 530 accessory. And then I was like only 10 more item level than casual gear. Then he told me I could upgrade my casual gear by grinding a casual raid to have the same item level than savage content. What's the point of farming a difficult content in the game if you can just get the same level of strength by face rolling your keyboard and watching Netflix at the same time? That's a good one right there, sir. Or ma'am, or whoever this person was. This game is mostly designed for casuals, and people wanting more difficulty are a minority. This is the biggest reason for me to not renew my sub. This has been a persistent problem on Final Fantasy XIV for as long as I remembered. I never really spoke on this issue where there really isn't no huge difference in gear when it comes to hardcore raiders and casual players. But you want to know something? I'm glad that there isn't a huge gear gap, because that is what tore up Terra's community. Players running around with best in slot, looking down and shitting on casual players that had a hard time upgrading their gear to the next gear set. I'm glad that they didn't do that for Final Fantasy XIV. I know you might get mad at me if you're a hardcore raider. I know you might get mad at me for saying that, but I think that this preserves the community. What they could do though is add like shiny titles underneath you guys' name that do the hardest content in the game and get it done. That way we can distinguish hardcore raiders from casual players. Really, the only thing you guys have going for you is those ultimate mode raid weapons that you guys stand there and show off. That's the only way people can determine a casual from a hardcore raider. For real. Like, that's all you guys have. and the Perfect Legend titles. That's the Ultimate Legend, the Perfect Legend, the Legend, stuff like that. That's all you guys really have. As for gear, I see why this person would quit playing Final Fantasy XIV. You know? But that would destroy Final Fantasy XIV's community ecosystem. Because then you'll get these players that do the hardest content in the game shitting on other players. Now, Final Fantasy XIV has a moderation system, so a lot of people would end up being banned, but the community still would be kind of sour from within. And if they ever do change it where you guys, hardcore raiders, get premier holy shit package gear at like 700, and then like casual players are stuck at like 600, I would quit myself. I'd be like, yo, I'm out, because this community is going to be in shambles soon. Like, I wouldn't play Final Fantasy XIV ever again. I would just go back to playing first-person shooters. Fuck it, I would try to go pro in first-person shooters. I wouldn't play Final Fantasy XIV or any other MMO ever again. I would not do so. No. Hell no. Because I've seen what that gear gap does to a community. And I know Final Fantasy XIV is a different type of MMO, but like, you can destroy a community by having shit like that. You know? Right now, the ultimate mode raids and stuff like that, those weapons are nothing but glamour and bragging rights. Like, hey, I completed this. I'm a hardcore raider. So they're running around with the shiny weapons and best in slot gear, which is the Savage Mode Eden Morn's gear. That's all you guys really have. I understand. Oh yeah, let me finish reading this comment. I'm sorry, I didn't went off into like a little rant shit. The second reason is there are too much snowflakes in the game, and people being so bad in DF while having so many level 80s. It makes me sad and question their mental capabilities. The other part was cut off. Snowflakes, yes. Final Fantasy XIV is full of snowflakes that will report you immediately. That's why, like, if there was a gear gap in Final Fantasy XIV and, you know, elitist players were, you know, stepping on other players and, you know, shit talking them, a lot of elite players would get banned for being dickheads. They would have to stay in really, really tight-knit free companies and only associate with each other, much like how Terra's turned into right now. Like, all of the players with best in slot, they play with each other, and they're not willing to help other players. They stay with each other. They play with each other. They shit talk to other players, but they won't shit talk to their own friends in their guild and shit like that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? I mean, everybody has their reasons for quitting Final Fantasy XIV. This one here is a solid one, but as a casual solo player, I'm glad that there isn't a giant gear gap between hardcore players and casual players, or hardcore raiders. Alright, so you get mad at me all you want, but like, I'm just glad there isn't, because I think that would destroy the community. I've seen it do it multiple times on multiple different MMOs.